Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. My name's Ryan. I am a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher. For those of you who it may be your first time joining, mindfulness-based stress reduction is also known as, through those initials, the acronym MBSR. It was created by John Kabat-Zinn in 1979 as a way to treat chronic pain, and it was quite effective, and effective to the point that most scientific studies around mindfulness use MBSR as their case study. So what happens to people before and after? So people who have never meditated before take MBSR and tend to be that test group. So what are psychologists studying, right? Is it like stress levels? Maybe it's psoriasis, autoimmune disorders. Like, what effect does mindfulness have on those things? And MBSR, to a lot of people's surprise, in 8 weeks, intensive meditation courses, an intensive meditation course like mindfulness-based stress reduction can have an impact on these disorders or on people's stress levels, and make a measurable difference that's bigger and better than placebo. So just kind of want to lay that scaffolding down as I start to talk a little bit about today's topic. Just because of a conversation that I had yesterday. So a good friend of mine is a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher also, and we were kind of chatting about the course and what he's experienced recently in the teaching of his course through a particular organization, and that has to do with today's topic, which is the scaffolding, or let's say that let me use the words that I used on my call with him, is the training wheels, right? That sometimes some of us in our meditation practice, and including me, that's why one of the reasons that I've chosen this topic is because I am definitely benefiting from putting the training wheels back on these days, can benefit from some extra assistance in our meditation practice. And so what do I mean by that? It's to have something to help aid in concentration as we do our practice. So there is a huge benefit in meditating in silence and recognizing yourself when your mind has wandered away. In fact, this is in my opinion, and I think there's research to back this up, the most beneficial thing that we develop in meditation is the ability to notice that our mind has wandered away from the thing that we're trying to focus the mind on. Okay, so this moment where you are no longer focused on, let's say, the breath, right? That's a common meditation object. We're trying to focus as best we can on the breath, and then our mind wanders off to something else. We're thinking about something going on later in our day, or like a sound outside distracts us, and we lose our focus, and we notice that the focus is lost, right? This moment is the hugely beneficial part of our practice and really key to the development of mindfulness. So the more that we are able to do this, and the faster we're able to do it, the more benefit we're going to be able to see. And so, what's the counter? What's the thing that we're countering as we do that? And one of the reasons that I have decided to make my mission to teach meditation in general is because the way technology is developing, our attention is more easily hijacked. And you might notice that. Maybe you were an adult in the 90s, right? If you reflect back to your time in the 90s, was it easier to pay attention, or was it more, was it the same? Or was it more difficult? I don't know the answer to that. Please feel free to write in the chat. I'd love to hear some feedback. Do you think it's harder today to pay attention than it was, say, 20 years ago? Is it harder now than it was then? And if it is, what, if you have any idea, what is the reason that you feel that you're more distracted today than you were? And for me, it's definitely related to the way I engage with technology, and maybe more interestingly, the way technology engages with me. And what's very interesting about that is that I have control over how technology interacts with me. I can change the way notifications appear on my phone. I can make all notifications disappear from my phone. I can put my technology in do not disturb mode. I don't have to turn on the television and watch Netflix, right? I choose to do those things, and then technology, when I have that choice made, then technology interacts with me by recommending things that are going to be very interesting in me, right? Or interesting for me. And so then it's harder to say no because of the market for attention. And that really is what it is that our attention is a commodity to be bought and to be seized, right? And so is there a way I can get more eyeballs to watch my content for longer, right? And it feels kind of ironic saying that as as I personally, Ryan, am broadcasting content, So it's quite funny to think about in that way. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat here. And so, Prasanna says, very much addicted to our phones. April says, technology. Suleiman says, distractions with internet and technology. Screen time has been a game changer. Yeah, and that's it. So you have that ability. Screen time, if you don't know, is a app or a area in settings on Apple devices for you to be able to change how much, to set restrictions on yourself if you think you're having trouble controlling yourself. Swiss R says, I think it is harder now because a lot of distractions in phone and tech. Karen says, too much dependence on technology. Yeah. And Jean says, since it's 20 years later, I'm losing my attention right now. Hello, Jay. Welcome to our time together. Technology is not the problem, just the way we use it, and that's really interesting to think about too. Is it is is responsible? Can we trust ourselves, and let's say humanity as a whole, right? Not you personally. Can we trust ourselves to be our own policemen of technology? And so that's a huge question, and that really isn't the topic today. And I'd love to talk about it more. I think it's a super fun topic to work through, and I would say especially. I'm here. I'm talking to you right now because of this technology, right? I'm able to share something that I think is very valuable to you and counter to some of the problems that technology can have because of technology itself, right? So I can't preach against it because of how much benefit there is that comes from it. So that's the real question. Do we have the self-control and the ability to hone our attention in a way that when we notice that something has hijacked our attention, that we have the ability to recognize that hijack has happened and then bring the attention back to what it is that we want to be doing, right? So that's really the key, and that's why I decided to be a mindfulness teacher, because I've found that as technology keeps developing and as I find myself mindlessly watching YouTube videos, right? It happens to me too. Sometimes I'm like, wow, it's been a half an hour. It's been an hour that I've just been wandering through this and aimlessly and haven't recognized that I'm not doing what it is that I want to be doing right now. And that my mindfulness practice helps that recognition to come sooner, because that's the exercise we're doing. So we're focusing. Oh, hey, wait a minute, my mind's gone. Can I bring my mind back to the present? Okay, here I am, I'm back. I'm focusing on what it feels like to be breathing. I'm focusing on the sensation of my buttocks against the cushion. Whatever it is that we've chosen as our anchor and our object of attention, that we can come back to and use that as our anchor in the present. And to know that these anchors, one of the reasons we use the body is because the body's always here, right? We are always here in our bodies. So using a physical sensation to ground ourselves is something that we always have access to. And when we're meditating and we're using the body as a point of focus, we are subtly training ourselves to be able to come back to the body anytime throughout the day. So the mindfulness that we develop in our meditation practice comes back in our daily lives. So we will, through that training, right? I don't go to the gym because I love going to the gym so much. I go to the gym because I expect to have some result from my time in the gym. And that's the same with my meditation practice. Sure, there's something that feels good about being in the gym and lifting weights. There's something that feels good about sitting on my cushion and doing meditation. Sometimes. But I don't always feel like I'm rushing to come sit on my cushion or rushing to get into the gym. You know, there are sometimes other things that I would much rather be doing. And so, can we understand that these results of being mindful in our daily lives, having more control over our attention, can really be that thing that motivates us to keep meditating? So Jean says balance is key. Suleiman says there is a generation of people that don't know how life was without the internet. And I think that can be challenging if you don't know the nature of and being that nature and being outside exists, for sure. And that's I have kids that are 10 and 11, and I love the I love the thing that they say to each other, right? Go touch grass, right? That's what this generation says when they think, to each other. If they're on an online thing together, as they say, go touch grass, which means go just stop playing video games for a while and go do something else. The key is to have productive OKRs. Well, what's that? What's an OKR? And use tech to guide us. 10,000 steps, number of fitness sessions of the week, number of courses completed in a month, number of thank you messages sent to our friend. Okay, I understand. Hi, Jeannie. Welcome back. Great to see you again. Jeannie is kind of like the first meditator that joined me in my live events 5 years ago, so it's great to see you again. Actually, walk barefoot on the grass. I bumped into some doing that. Objectives and key results. Thanks, Prasanna. So back to today's topic, right? So this is what we're training. And what we may find is that as we're trying to bring our attention into the present moment during our meditations, that it's challenging. And it's so challenging that just looking at the cushion makes us not want to meditate. Right? It's just the idea of going to the gym, the idea of starting my yoga practice, the idea of jumping in the water and swimming for 30 minutes. I just don't want to do it. So is there a way to make that a bit easier? And that's what this series is about. So not only today, but on Thursday, so in 48 hours from now, and then the next couple weeks, just talking about different methods of training wheels, we'll say, to help to keep you on practice. Is there more benefit? right? It's kind of funny. Is there more benefit to meditating in silence than using tracks, than using training wheels methods? And not only do I believe, but there is research to prove that, evidence to suggest that there is a lot of benefit in meditating in silence. But just like my discussion with my other mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher yesterday, it is important, especially as we're getting into our practice for the first time or getting back into our practice after a long break, to have something that can help assist us to get into our practice more, to make sure that we do it, because it can be really, really hard to get into practice and to do it and to sit for 5 minutes, or like we're going to sit today, we'll sit together for 20 minutes. So can we find some way to help us to not get discouraged in our practice? So last time, the method that we used is counting the number of seconds as we breathe in and breathe out. So just using that counting to help assist to concentrate the mind. So that's what we're going to be doing today, something similar to that. So today's training wheels isn't to count the number of seconds, but to count each breath. So as we practice today, we'll inhale, exhale. So as we inhale, being fully present for the inhale. As we exhale, being fully present for the exhale. And as the exhale completes, counting 1. And then inhale, exhale, 2. So this can help, because what we'll find, or what I find when I do this, is I'll get to I'll be at some point in my practice and I realize that, hey, wait a minute, what was I at? What number was I at? I've lost my count, because, hey, that's the indicator to let me know that I've got distracted. So one of the things that helps with concentration is filling that space with something. So you'll find, like, if you're filling the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, may be more engaging than what we're going to do, which is most of the time is just feeling and being in mental silence. And so we can kind of compare, what are these like? What is counting from, what's counting each second like compared to what's counting each breath like? And also noticing if you feel attached to some kind of progress in this practice, right? So one of the attitudes that we cultivate in our mindfulness practice is non-striving. So is it possible to do this counting without looking forward to the next number, right? After I finish 2, I'm like, okay, 3's coming up, right? Okay, it's 4. Wow, I'm going to make it to 10, right? Yeah, is it possible to let go or to be aware of that desire to achieve as we start to do our practice? Prasanna says, we need a guiding anchor for the mind. Silence is for advanced practitioners. And I can't agree with you more. I think that that's the idea. And I hope the training wheels is just kind of the words that I used, that my teacher friend said to me, and I liked it. And I said it, and I guess I kind of took it on. And I wanted to share it with you, and I hope that it's not insulting by any means, because it's not meant to make you feel like you're a worse practitioner by any means. And by the way, right, as I have come out of my surgery and my sickness, and I'm getting back and unatrophying, stretching out my meditation muscles, these are things that I need to be doing as I'm getting back into my daily practice. So I've tried counting backwards with a pause of 4 seconds and normal breathing, and realized there's no tiger behind my back, no asteroid hitting, no earthquake. All is well and good to be calm. So that's what we're going to do. So that's today. That is what we're going to be doing in the next few events. So what are the training wheels that we can use when we find ourselves having difficulty practicing? So just going to revise the time due to where we are in time. So we'll be practicing for 15 minutes today, starting now. So get comfortable. Find a meditation posture that's going to be conducive for you. And I want to reiterate the importance of the posture. So the posture isn't just to look cool, we're not sitting up straight and tall so that onlookers can go, oh, wow, look at him, look at her meditating, right? The posture has a purpose, and that is to aid in awakeness and alertness and concentration. So I would encourage you to find a posture that the word Jon Kabat-Zinn uses is dignified. Find a dignified posture, one that can reflect your commitment to your practice, your commitment to training your attention. Crown of the head towards the ceiling, chin parallel to the floor. Just take a moment to realize, to recognize who it is that's showing up here today. What version of you is here? How am I feeling? So maybe starting by unfurling, rolling out that red carpet to welcome whatever it is that decides to show up today. Noticing sensations in the face. Is your face relaxed? Sensations in the shoulders. You may roll your shoulders a few times, move your head around if that can help to release any tension in the neck and shoulder muscles. Noticing the back. Becoming aware of the chest, the abdomen. Can you feel the abdomen rising and falling as you breathe? And so maybe you have a way to anchor into the feeling of breathing. And so if you have a preferred method, feel free to start concentrating your attention on that area to pay attention to the breath right now. If you don't have a preferred method for following the breath, I would encourage you to feel the sensation of the belly rising and falling. See if you can fully concentrate your attention on that sensation. And for me, my t-shirt is a little bit loose, so I can feel my t-shirt gently brushing against the skin of my belly. I can feel the movement of the abdominal wall. I can feel the tension inside as I breathe in, as the space inside my body decreases, as air fills my lungs, as my diaphragm moves downwards. And then the relaxation as I breathe out, as my abdomen moves back towards the spine, as air comes out, as the space inside my body decreases. And so that's our first step, is fully establishing a high degree of awareness of the abdomen moving with the breath. So as best we can, tuning our minds into that sensation of the belly rising and falling. And then the longer we sit here in silence, the higher the probability of our attention wandering away. And a reminder, that is the most beneficial part of the practice, that moment when we notice that we wander away. So don't judge yourself harshly if you can. Try your best to be open and loving towards yourself, even when you see yourself, quote unquote, failing to keep concentration. But of course, losing that focus can be frustrating, and that's why we have these little things to help keep us on task so that we feel a little bit less frustrated. So as we breathe in, focusing fully on that inhalation. As we breathe out, fully focusing on that exhalation. And then counting 1. Breathing in, breathing out at your own pace. 2. Letting the breath come into the body naturally without forcing it or trying to make it longer. Breath going out. 3. So keep counting. At the bottom of the exhale, continue counting. And I'm not going to guide you on the counting exactly, because I know everyone here has a slightly different natural breathing rhythm. So just let your natural breath be as it is. At the bottom of each out-breath, allow that count to increase by 1. So maybe you've been distracted, you've lost count, or maybe you're still exactly on. So now, wherever you are, I encourage you to let go of whatever number you're on and go back to 1. Inhaling, exhaling, 1. Inhaling, exhaling, 2. Maybe in the middle, as we're inhaling and exhaling, we're finding our little pieces of our mind are wandering off. We're still able to keep the count, but we're not fully focused on the breath. Something else is coming into our awareness. So not blocking it off, but just recognizing that our awareness is slightly split. Can we bring the attention fully back to the sensation of breath? And at the end of the exhale, increasing that count by 1. And now, one more time, wherever you are, whatever counting you have made it to, at the end of the next out breath, reset that counter and go back to 1. Keep it up. Keep being present with the breath. We're almost done. So as our practice begins to come to a close, I'm going to end our time of meditation with 3 rings of the bell. All right. Well done, everybody. Congratulations for making it through today's practice. How did it go? What happened? What did you notice? What did you experience? Was counting helpful? Was me resetting the counter? How did that feel? What was that like? So feel free to say whatever it is that's coming up for you, right in the chat. One thing that popped into my mind while I was sitting near the end was Prasanna's comment that said silence is for advanced practitioners. And I guess I just wanted to pause and say there's always a period of silence in our meditation, right? I mean, even if you're listening to a track, there are places of silence. So silence is actually for everyone. It's just like how much exploration into the realm of meditative silence do you want to go? How far do you want to journey into that area? So we become more advanced, but I think that thought that silence is for advanced practitioners can make it feel inaccessible to me. And I guess I just want to say that silence, it's possible for everyone to have a little bit of silence and silent practice. In fact, that's how Insight Timer began, if you didn't know. Insight Timer that's it. It was a timer. It didn't have anything else on it. It was a timer for you to use to time your meditation with some like bell sound at the end, right? So it was for silent practice. So it is possible. And as an MBSR teacher, I can tell you that that's how MBSR goes. We start with lots of guidance, lots of hand-holding, lots of training wheels, and we very, very slowly, as the 8 weeks goes on, progress to help participants get into more and more silent practice. And it's beautiful as it happens. So I'm not trying to contradict by any means what Prasanna is saying. I just kind of want to, it's like I just want to add to a little bit what he's saying there. Thanks, Alexa. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Caesar. Caesar says, got distracted multiple times during counting. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thanks, Chris. Yes, if today's your first time joining in this live session, I hope you'll come back. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday morning, Singapore time at 5:30 a.m. So maybe for you, that's your afternoon. If you're in the United States, if you're in Western Europe, it's going to be late at night on Monday and Wednesday. So hope to see you again. I would like to take the time to encourage you to try my 10 minutes of mindfulness track. Okay? So 10 minutes of mindfulness is a track that can help when it comes to exploring a little bit of silence in your practice. So I've got there's guidance that goes with it. I think there are several different ones. There's, I'd say the 5-minute one, I'm kind of like going into and coming out of the practice. To me, the 5-minute feels a bit fast. 10 minutes is good. There's a 20 minutes of mindfulness. So like the idea is to give you tracks that you can use with varying amounts of time and guidance for you to begin to explore that realm of meditating in silence. So check those out on your own time and try meditating with them and see how it goes. Linda says, no problem counting, no problem with the reset. I am a counter. I count steps when I walk, and I have been walking for a long time. Thanks, Linda, so much for sharing. Jean says, my mind could wander between 1 and 2 or any other number with the monkey emoji, which is a reference to monkey mind, which is totally happening to me too. I don't know if you were able to hear, but my partner like stumbled into this room, kind of forgetting that I was in here, and like knocked some stuff over. I thought that was a little bit distracting for me, but I think also kind of making me smile on the inside as I recognize the some of the differences. I guess that's why opposites attract, right? Laura says, got distracted. The counting and restarting helped. Thanks, Laura. Karg says, unfortunately, I seem to have ADS and usually have several thoughts at once, so I can easily manage to count while my mind still goes on everywhere on bad days. Well, Karg, excuse me, that's why I want to encourage you to come back, because I have lots of other little methods to help when it comes to staying focused in meditation. So we're going to walk through those. Who knows? Maybe you go through all of them and none of them help. That's the other thing is what does help? What's help? As we explore our attention fully, we may see that there might be help there that we're not recognizing because we just don't have the attunedness to be able to find it. Jeannie says, I love guided meditations because they lead me to the most beautiful, peaceful silences, especially the moment the guidance stops. Thanks so much, Jeannie. Thanks, Anne. Great to have you again. Anne Lewis, another teacher here on Insight Timer. Rachel says, I'm a counter too. Linda says, actually found it much easier to maintain by counting. I do normally get distracted, so found it very, very beneficial. So thanks, Linda, and I hope you'll come back. Next time, so in about 47 hours, we will be doing meditative phrases to aid in concentration. So we'll be filling up that space just a little bit more with more than counting. So I won't tell you too much about it. I will encourage you to come back in 47 hours to come practice with us again and hear more about that topic. And check out my tracks. Certainly, if you're an Insight Timer Plus member, the thing you can do that helps me the most is listen to my premium tracks. I would appreciate that a lot. Join Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle for other group meditations when I'm not here on live events. And I hope to see you again soon in 47 hours. Thanks, Gene, for your donation. Thanks for hanging with the cliffhanger. I guess that's it. That's how most TV series hijack our attention, isn't it? So maybe I should think twice about leaving you with a cliffhanger. Let's end our practice as we do, with some loving kindness to ourselves and with others, sharing merits, as it's sometimes called. So repeat after me if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all sentient life everywhere, on this earth and beyond, may we all be happy and peaceful. Thanks, everyone. Take care. See you again soon. Bye-bye.